My parents called me in a panic and demanded $50,000 immediately. No explanation, no details. Just send it now. I thought someone was dying. I thought my father had hours left. So I didn't ask questions. I booked a flight and showed up unannounced at their door. What I found wasn't a medical emergency. It wasn't a crisis. It was wedding decorations spread across the table, champagne glasses clinking, and my spoiled sister showing off an engagement ring bought with my terror. Before we go any further, hit that like button right now and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Because what I'm about to tell you isn't just my story. It's the story thousands of you have lived, but were too afraid to say out loud. This is about the moment you realize your parents didn't raise you out of love. They raised you to be useful. And I want to know, have you been there too? Drop a comment. Let's talk about it. My name is Samantha, and I need you to understand something right from the start. I didn't grow up in a broken home. There was no screaming, no violence, no obvious neglect that would make people gasp at a dinner party. From the outside, we looked normal. Holiday cards with everyone smiling. A 2-story house in a quiet suburb. Sunday dinners that smelled like roasted chicken and vanilla candles. But inside that house, there was a system. An unspoken hierarchy that everyone understood without ever saying it out loud. And I was at the bottom of it. I'm the oldest, 5 years older than my sister. And in my family, that didn't mean I got privileges or respect or the extra attention. It meant I became the backup parent before I hit double digits. I was the one who noticed when something was wrong. I was the one who fixed things before anyone had to ask. If my sister forgot her lunch, I gave her mine. If she didn't want to walk home alone, I missed my after-school art class to walk with her. If she cried, the whole house stopped. If I cried, I got told to go to my room and think about my attitude. My father believed in order. His word ended every conversation. You didn't argue. You didn't push back. You nodded and adjusted. My mother believed in harmony, or at least the appearance of it. She was the one who smoothed everything over, who reframed every conflict so no one had to feel uncomfortable, except me, because somehow I was always the one who needed to sacrifice so the house could stay calm. And then there was my sister, the center of gravity, the one everyone bent toward without question. I remember being 12 years old, sitting in a parent-teacher conference while my English teacher praised my grades. She said I was ahead of my reading level, that I had real potential. My mother smiled politely, nodded twice, and then immediately changed the subject to my sister's dance recital. Just like that, my achievement became an inconvenience because it took attention away from her. That moment didn't wreck me. It was too small, too quiet, but it planted something. A realization that started growing slowly in the back of my mind. I wasn't the priority. I was the support system. By the time I got to high school, I'd learned how to be invisible. I studied hard, kept my head down, didn't make waves. I got a part-time job at 16 because I knew no one was going to hand me spending money. I applied to colleges on my own because my parents were too busy helping my sister prepare for her junior prom. I moved across the country for school, and when I graduated, I stayed far away, not because I hated them, but because distance felt like oxygen. For the first time in my life, I could breathe without someone else deciding how deep the breath should be. But here's the thing about being raised like that. Even when you leave, the training doesn't. You still answer the phone on the second ring. You still feel a spike of panic when your parents' names show up on your screen. You still have this instinct buried so deep it feels like survival that says when your family calls, you show up. When they sound scared, you listen. When there's a crisis, you handle it. That instinct is exactly what they used against me. The call came on a Tuesday evening. I was at home, halfway through a bowl of pasta, watching something mindless on my laptop. My phone rang. It was my mother. I answered casually, expecting the usual small talk, whether work, maybe a guilt trip about not visiting enough. But her voice was different, tight, strained, like she was holding something back. She said they needed to talk to me about something urgent. She said my father was under a lot of stress. She said they needed help, and they needed it now. I sat up straighter. My stomach dropped. I asked what happened. Was someone sick? Was it Dad? Was it serious? She didn't answer directly. She just kept saying it was complicated, that they didn't want to get into all the details over the phone, but they needed $50,000 as soon as possible. $50,000. I felt the air leave my lungs. That's not a small ask. That's not, can you cover groceries this week, money. That's life-altering, emergency room, something is very wrong money. I tried to stay calm. I asked again, what is this for? What happened? My mother sighed like I was being difficult. She said my father would explain it better and handed him the phone. His voice was harder, sharper. He didn't waste time on comfort. He said they needed the money, that it couldn't wait, and that if I trusted them, I'd just handle it, and they'd explain everything later. He said family steps up when it matters. He said I was overthinking it. Then he hung up. I sat there staring at my phone like it had just lied to me. My hands were shaking. My mind was racing through every worst-case scenario I could imagine. Cancer, debt, legal trouble, someone in danger. I didn't even consider the possibility that they were lying. Why would I? These were my parents, the people who raised me, the people who were supposed to protect me. If they said it was urgent, it had to be true, right? But something felt off. I couldn't name it, but it was there, this tiny, uncomfortable feeling in my chest that wouldn't go away. They'd never asked me for money like this before. Not in one lump sum. Not with that tone. And they'd been vague. Too vague. My mother's voice had been strained. Yes, but not scared. Not grieving. Just tense. Like she was stressed about something she didn't want to explain. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, my brain filled in the blanks for them. Hospital rooms, surgeries, my father in pain, too proud to tell me the details. My mother crying alone because she didn't want to burden me. I imagined all the ways I'd regret it if I hesitated and something terrible happened. By the time the sun came up, I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to just send the money blindly. I was going to go see them. In person. Unannounced. I told myself it was because I wanted to surprise them. The truth? I wanted to see their faces. I wanted to walk into that house and feel the energy for myself. Because if something was really wrong, I needed to know. And if something wasn't wrong, well, I needed to know that too. I booked a flight that morning. I didn't tell them I was coming. I packed a small bag, called out of work, and by that afternoon, I was on a plane headed back to the town I'd spent years trying to leave behind. The whole flight, my hands were clenched in my lap. I kept thinking about what I'd find when I got there. Would my father look smaller? Would my mother be holding it together by a thread? Would there be medical equipment in the living room, prescription bottles on the counter? That specific kind of silence that fills a house when something is ending? When I landed, I rented a car and drove straight to their neighborhood. The closer I got, the tighter my chest felt. But when I pulled onto their street, something stopped me cold. Every single light in the house was on. Not the harsh, fluorescent panic lights of a crisis. Warm lights, inviting lights, the kind of lights you turn on when you're hosting people, when you're celebrating something. I sat in the car for a long moment, engine idling, staring at that house. And for the first time since the phone call, a different feeling crept in. Not fear, not panic, suspicion. I turned off the engine, grabbed my bag, and walked up to the front door. I didn't knock. I still had my key. I let myself in. And what I saw in the next 10 seconds changed everything I thought I knew about my family. What I found inside that house wasn't a tragedy. It was a party. And I was the only one who didn't know I'd been invited to pay for it. Stay with me, because what happens next is going to make your blood boil. The first thing that hit me when I walked through that door wasn't fear. It was the smell. Fresh coffee brewing, something sweet baking in the oven. The kind of smell that says comfort, celebration, everything's fine. Not the cold, sterile smell of a crisis. Not the heavy silence of a family falling apart. This was warmth. This was normal. And that's what made my stomach turn. I stood in the entryway for a second, just listening. I could hear voices in the kitchen. My mother's laugh, light, easy, the kind she uses when she's entertaining. My father's low murmur. And then another voice. My sister. She wasn't crying. She wasn't scared. She sounded excited. I walked toward the kitchen slowly, my bag still on my shoulder, my heart pounding in a way that had nothing to do with relief. When I stepped into the doorway, my mother looked up from the kitchen island and froze. Just for a second. Her eyes went wide. Then she forced a smile, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes, the kind that's meant to cover up surprise. "Samantha," she said, her voice just a little too bright. "You didn't say you were coming." I didn't smile back. I just looked at her. I wanted to make sure everything was okay. The silence that followed was thick. My father was sitting in his usual chair by the window, a magazine open in his lap, looking completely relaxed. Not sick, not stressed, not a man in the middle of an emergency. He glanced up at me, then back down at the magazine, like my sudden appearance was mildly inconvenient, but not worth commenting on. "I thought you said this was urgent," I said, keeping my voice even. My mother exchanged a glance with my father. It was quick, practiced, the kind of look two people share when they've already planned what to say. "It is urgent," my mother said, too quickly, "just not the way you're imagining." That's when I saw them, stacked neatly at the end of the kitchen table. Glossy envelopes, color samples, a thick 3-ring binder with tabs sticking out, florals, catering, venues. I didn't need to open it to know what I was looking at. Wedding planning materials. My chest tightened, not from panic, from realization, the kind that comes in slowly, like cold water filling a room. My sister walked in a moment later, her phone in her hand, glowing with that specific kind of energy people have when everything is going their way. She stopped when she saw me. For just a second, her face flickered with something I couldn't quite name. Then she smiled. "Oh, you're here early." Early. Like I'd been expected. Like this was all part of some plan I wasn't informed about. I followed her gaze down to her left hand. The ring caught the overhead light and threw it back like a challenge. It was big, flashy, the kind of ring you see in magazines, not on the hand of someone whose family is supposedly drowning in financial trouble. It looked heavy, expensive, and completely out of place next to the story I'd been sold over the phone. "Isn't it beautiful?" my sister said, lifting her hand slightly so the light hit it again. He really went all out. I didn't answer her. I just stood there, listening to the house hum around me. The refrigerator, the oven timer ticking down, the sound of my mother pouring coffee into a mug like this was any other Sunday morning. Normal sounds, family sounds, the sounds of people who weren't in crisis. My mother started talking, filling the silence the way she always did when things got uncomfortable. She said planning a wedding was harder than it used to be. She said everything was so expensive now. She said my sister had been under so much stress trying to figure out how to make it all work. She said they were so lucky she'd found someone who loved her this much. My father nodded along, arms crossed, waiting for me to catch up, waiting for me to do what I'd always done. Smile, nod, ask how I could help. But I didn't. I just stood there, staring at that binder, at that ring, at the three of them positioned around the kitchen like actors who'd rehearsed this scene without giving me the script. And that's when it clicked, not like a slow realization, like a door slamming shut. They hadn't called me because someone was dying. They'd called me because they needed money, and they knew exactly how to get it. They'd weaponized my fear. They'd used the one thing they knew I couldn't ignore, the idea that something terrible was happening to someone I loved, and they'd twisted it into a tool, a way to get me to act without thinking, without asking questions, without saying no, because that's what I'd always done. I'd always shown up. I'd always helped. I'd always been the solution they reached for when something needed to be handled quietly and quickly, and they were counting on me to do it again. "So," I said, my voice calmer than I felt. I nodded toward the binder. "This is the emergency." My mother hesitated. Then she sighed, like I was the one being unreasonable. "We didn't want to worry you with all the details," she said. "Planning a wedding is incredibly stressful. Your sister has been overwhelmed." Overwhelmed. I looked at my sister again. She was leaning against the counter now, scrolling through her phone with one hand, the other resting casually on the countertop so the ring stayed visible. She didn't look overwhelmed. She looked content, comfortable, like someone whose biggest problem was choosing between two shades of ivory. When she noticed me staring, she glanced up and tilted her head. "What?" she said. "You look upset." "I flew across the country," I said slowly, because I thought someone was in danger. My father cleared his throat, the sound he makes when he's about to shut down a conversation. "We didn't think the details mattered," he said. "You're doing well. You can afford it. We figured you'd want to help." There it was. Not a request, an assumption, an expectation, a fact they'd already decided on my behalf. "For what?" I asked. "For flowers? For a venue? For a dress. My mother's smile tightened at the edges. Don't be dramatic, Samantha. I'm not being dramatic, I said, my voice still even. I'm asking a question. My sister rolled her eyes, loud enough that I could hear it. You're always like this, she said, making everything about you. That sentence did something to me. It unlocked a door I'd kept closed for years. A door I'd been too afraid to open because I didn't know what was on the other side. But I wasn't afraid anymore. I didn't make this about me. I said quietly, you did, when you lied. My sister laughed. It was short, sharp, the kind of laugh that's meant to dismiss you. Lied, she said. Mom said you'd help. You always help. I turned to look at my mother. She didn't deny it. She just stood there, coffee mug in hand, looking at me like I was the one breaking an unspoken rule. How long? I asked. My father shifted in his chair. That's not important. It is to me, I said. How long have you been planning to ask me for this money? My mother set down her mug. We knew if we explained it up front, you'd overthink it, she said. We needed you to act. Act. Not think. Not decide. Act. Like a trained dog. Like a tool they kept in the garage for emergencies. And the money I've been sending every month. I said. Both of my parents froze. My father's face went carefully blank. My mother's hand tightened around the handle of her mug. What about it? My father said slowly. You told me it was for medical bills, I said. For car repairs. For things that were tight. You said you needed help. I gestured around the room. At the fresh paint on the walls. At the new curtains. At the designer coffee maker on the counter that definitely wasn't there the last time I visited. Nothing here looks tight. My sister scoffed. That's different. How? I asked, turning to her. She straightened up, defensive now. That money was family support, she said. This is my wedding. I actually laughed then. It surprised all of us, including me. It wasn't a bitter laugh. It was genuine, because the absurdity of it had finally hit me full force. So let me get this straight, I said. I've been helping pay your bills for months, maybe years, and now you want me to pay for a wedding too. My mother stepped closer, her voice dropping into that tone she used to use when I was a teenager, and she needed me to calm down and be reasonable. Samantha, please, she said. We raised you. We gave you everything. Don't act like you don't owe us anything. Oh, that word hung in the air like smoke. And I realized something in that moment that I should have realized years ago. They didn't see me as a daughter. They saw me as an investment, one they expected a return on. I pulled out my phone, and what I showed them next made my mother go pale and my sister start screaming. Don't go anywhere, because this is where I stopped being the good daughter and started being the honest one. I didn't pull out my phone aggressively. I wasn't trying to make a scene. I was just done pretending, done nodding along, done letting them rewrite history in real time while I stood there and accepted it. I pulled out my phone calmly, unlocked it, and opened my banking app, the one I'd been using to track every single payment I'd sent them for the last 2 years. My mother's eyes followed my hand. What are you doing? She asked, and her voice had an edge to it now. Not the soft, reasonable tone. Something sharper, like she knew whatever was coming next, she wasn't going to like it. I've kept track, I said simply. I turned the screen toward them. Every payment, every transfer, Every time you said it was urgent or necessary or just to help out for a little while. I scrolled slowly through the list. It adds up to a lot more than $50,000. The kitchen went quiet, not peaceful quiet, the kind of quiet that happens right before something breaks. My father leaned forward in his chair. "Why would you do that?" he asked, and there was something in his voice I'd never heard before. Not anger, worry, like I'd just pulled out a card he didn't know I was holding. Because I stopped trusting vague answers, I said. My mother's face had gone pale. She set her coffee mug down on the counter a little too hard. "You're keeping tabs on your own family?" she said, and she made it sound like I was the one doing something wrong, like documenting the truth was a betrayal. "I'm keeping track of my money," I corrected. "That's not the same thing." My sister crossed her arms. "Oh my God," she muttered. "You're really doing this right now?" "Yes," I said, meeting her eyes. "I am." I swiped to my photos. I didn't show them yet. I just kept talking. "You know what's funny?" I said, "While you were telling me things were tight, while you were saying you needed help with medical bills and repairs and emergency expenses, you were posting pictures." I turned my phone toward my sister. Her Instagram feed, public, visible to anyone. Expensive dinners at restaurants I couldn't afford. Shopping bags with designer logos. Weekend trips to beach towns and wineries. All of it time-stamped. All of it recent. All of it directly contradicting the story I'd been told. My sister's eyes went wide. "You were stalking me?" she said, her voice rising. "I was noticing," I said. "There's a difference." She looked to my parents for backup, her face flushing red. "Tell her she's being ridiculous." But my father didn't say anything. He just stared at my phone like it had personally betrayed him. My mother opened her mouth, then closed it again. For the first time in my life, I watched her scramble for words and come up empty. "This one's my favorite," I said, swiping to another photo. My sister at a spa, robe, champagne, face mask, the works. The caption read, "Self-Care Sunday, because I deserve it." I looked up at her. "This was 2 weeks after you told me you couldn't afford your car payment." Her mouth opened, then closed. She didn't have an answer. My father's voice finally came back, and when it did, it was hard. "You're crossing a line," he said. "No," I said. "I'm finally seeing it." I turned to my sister fully now, and I felt something shift inside me. Not anger, clarity, cold, bright clarity. "Do you have any idea," I said slowly, "how many things I gave up so you wouldn't be inconvenienced?" She shrugged, actually shrugged, like it was nothing. "That's what older sisters do," she said. Something inside me went completely still, not angry, not hurt, just done. "Then listen very carefully," I said. "I'm not doing it anymore." My mother gasped like I'd just announced someone died. "You don't mean that?" "I do," I said. "I'm not sending the money." The room exploded. My sister's face twisted into something ugly. "You can't just decide that," she said. "I can," I said, "and I am." My father slammed his hand on the table. The coffee mugs jumped. My mother flinched. "I didn't. After everything we've done for you," he said, his voice low and dangerous. The voice he used when he expected obedience. The voice that used to make me shrink. I met his eyes. "You mean after spending my college fund on her?" Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. My mother's hand went to her mouth. My father's jaw tightened. My sister looked between them, confused for just a second before her face smoothed out into defensiveness. That was for the family, my mother whispered. For her, I corrected. You spent my college fund on her dance competitions, her trips, her private lessons. And when I asked about it, you told me I'd figure it out on my own. So I did. I worked 3 jobs. I took out loans I'm still paying off. But you never told her to figure it out, did you? My sister exploded then. You're selfish, she screamed. You have a great job. You have a nice apartment. You make good money. What's $50,000 to you? I looked at her for a long moment, really looked at her, and I realized something I should have seen years ago. She wasn't spoiled by accident. She was spoiled on purpose. They'd built her this way, brick by brick, excuse by excuse, and I'd helped them do it. It's the cost of my peace, I said quietly, and I'm done paying it. She started crying then, loud, dramatic, the kind of crying she'd been using to get her way since she was 5 years old. You're ruining my wedding, she sobbed. I didn't flinch, didn't apologize, didn't rush to comfort her the way I'd done 1,000 times before. I didn't plan your wedding, I said. I didn't propose to your fiancé. I didn't promise anyone anything. You did. My mother reached for my arm. I stepped back. We need that money, she said, and her voice cracked. We already told people. We already put down deposits. That sounds like a you problem, I said, and I meant it. My father stood up from his chair, his face red now, his hands shaking slightly. He pointed toward the door. If you walk away from this, he said, his voice shaking with anger, don't expect us to forgive you. I nodded slowly. That's fine, I said. My sister screamed then. Not words, just noise. Raw, furious noise. When she finally found words again, they came out sharp and venomous. You're heartless, she spat. You're a horrible person. You're a terrible sister. I hope you know that. I shook my head. No, I said. I just stopped letting you use my heart against me. I grabbed my bag from where I'd set it down by the door. My hands were steady. That surprised me more than anything else. After all the years of shaking hands and racing heartbeat and swallowed words, my hands were completely steady. This ends now, I said. No more payments. No more emergencies. No more guilt. My mother started sobbing. Big, heaving sobs that shook her whole body. My father just stared at the floor, his jaw working like he was chewing on words he couldn't quite spit out. My sister stood frozen, her face pale except for 2 bright red spots on her cheeks, like she'd never imagined a world where I said no, like the concept had never even occurred to her. I walked to the door, put my hand on the handle. Then I turned back one last time. I didn't come here to fight. I said, I came because I was scared for you, because I thought something terrible had happened, because I love you. Remember that. No one answered. My mother cried harder. My father wouldn't look at me. My sister's hands were balled into fists at her sides. I opened the door and walked out into the cold evening air. The door closed behind me with a soft click. Not a slam, just a closing, and my chest felt lighter than it had in years. Behind me, I could hear raised voices. My sister screaming, my mother crying, my father's low, angry rumble. but they sounded distant now, like something playing on a TV in another room, like something that was happening to someone else. I got in my rental car, started the engine, and pulled away from that house. And I didn't look back, not even once. The messages started before I even reached the airport. And what my family did next proves they never saw me as a daughter at all, just a resource they thought they owned. Keep watching, because the fallout is about to get nuclear. My phone started buzzing before I even made it to the end of the street. I glanced down at the screen. My mother. I didn't answer. It buzzed again and again. By the time I reached the highway, I had 7 missed calls, and the text messages had started rolling in. I pulled over at a gas station, not because I needed gas, but because I needed to see what they were saying. I needed to know if any part of them understood what had just happened. Spoiler alert, they didn't. The first message was from my mother. Long, emotional. The kind of message that's designed to pull you back in. Samantha, I can't believe you would embarrass us like this. After everything we sacrificed for you. After all the years we spent raising you, loving you, giving you a home. This is how you repay us. By humiliating your sister on what should be the happiest time of her life. I'm so disappointed in you. I don't even know who you are anymore. I read it twice. Then I deleted it. The next one came from my father. Shorter, colder. You've made your choice. Don't come crying to us when you realize what you've thrown away. Family is supposed to stick together. You just proved you were never really part of this family to begin with. I stared at that one longer. Not because it hurt, because it was so perfectly ironic. I was never part of the family. I was the only one who'd been holding it together. But sure, I deleted that one too. Then my sister's messages started coming in. And these weren't sad. These were furious. You're a selfish bitch. I hope you're happy. You just ruined everything. Everything. Do you even care? Do you have any idea what you've done? I will never forgive you for this. Never. Another one. Everyone is going to know what you did. I'm going to tell everyone how you abandoned your own family. How you turned your back on us when we needed you. You're disgusting. And another. I hope you end up alone. I hope nobody ever helps you with anything. I hope you need something someday, and nobody is there. I sat in that gas station parking lot, reading message after message, and I felt nothing. Not guilt, not regret, not even anger. Just a strange, calm detachment, like I was reading about someone else's life. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, started the car, and drove to the airport. I returned the rental car. I checked in for my flight. I sat at the gate with a lukewarm coffee and watched people hug each other hello and goodbye. And I thought about how many of those hugs were real, how many were obligation, how many were performance. When I landed back in my city, back in my apartment, I made a decision. I opened my banking app one more time. I found the recurring payment I'd been sending my parents every single month for 2 years. $500. Every month. Like clockwork. I'd set it up because they said they needed help. Because they said things were tight. Because I thought I was doing the right thing. I canceled it. It took less than a minute. A few taps on the screen. A confirmation button. Done. No dramatic speech. No final message. Just a quiet action that said everything I needed to say. I'm done. I felt a flicker of guilt when I did it. That old reflex. That old training. The voice in my head that said, but what if they really do need it? What if something happens and it's your fault? But the voice was quieter now, easier to ignore, because I'd seen the house. I'd seen the wedding binder. I'd seen my sister's ring and her Instagram feed and the designer coffee maker. They didn't need my money. They just wanted it. And there's a difference. The next few days were strange. Quiet. My phone stayed on Do Not Disturb. I went to work. I came home. I cooked dinner for myself and ate it on my couch without anyone asking me for anything. And slowly, I started to realize something. I'd been living with a constant low-level hum of anxiety for years. A feeling that at any moment, my phone would ring and I'd have to drop everything and fix something. That hum was gone now, and the silence it left behind felt like peace. But my family wasn't done. Word started spreading. My aunt called me, my mother's sister. She was careful at first. Neutral. "Hey, sweetie," she said, her voice soft. "I heard things got a little tense when you visited. Your mom is pretty upset. I just wanted to check in. Are you okay?" I appreciated that she asked if I was okay. That was new. "I'm fine," I said. "What did they tell you?" She hesitated. "Your mom said you refused to help with your sister's wedding, that you got angry and stormed out." I laughed. "Couldn't help it. Is that what she said?" "That's not what happened," my aunt asked. So I told her, calmly, without exaggeration. I told her about the phone call, the panic, the flight, what I found when I got there, the lies, the assumptions, the money I'd been sending for months while they posted pictures of vacations and spa days. I didn't editorialize. I didn't make them sound worse than they were. I just told her the truth. When I finished, there was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then my aunt sighed. "Oh, honey," she said quietly. "I'm so sorry." That reaction mattered more than I expected it to, because she didn't try to defend them. She didn't tell me I was overreacting. She just believed me. A few days later, my cousin texted me, my father's nephew. "Hey, I heard things didn't go great with the family. You good?" I told him the same story, same tone, same facts. His response was even simpler. "Yeah, that tracks. Your sister's always been a piece of work." I almost cried reading that, not because it was mean, because someone finally said out loud what I'd been thinking for years. More people reached out. Some took my parents' side. Some didn't. But the ones who mattered, the ones who actually listened, started to see the pattern. And I realized something important. I wasn't the villain in this story. I'd just been cast as one because I'd stopped playing my role. Back at my parents' house, things were changing too. I didn't hear about it directly, of course. They'd stopped messaging me after the first few days of rage texts. But I heard through the grapevine, through my aunt, through my cousin, through a family friend who reached out to say she'd heard what happened, and she was proud of me. The wedding plans changed. The venue got downgraded. Something smaller, less expensive. The guest list shrank. My sister's Instagram posts got less frequent. And when they did appear, they were vaguer, less bragging, more staying positive through challenges, energy. My mother stopped posting altogether. My father, who never posted anyway, stayed silent. But I could feel it, the ripple effect, the reality setting in. They'd been counting on my money. They'd built plans around it. And now those plans were falling apart. I should have felt guilty. That's what they wanted. That's what they were counting on. The old Samantha would have crumbled by now, would have sent an apology text, would have wired half the money just to make the tension stop. But I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. One evening, about 2 weeks after I'd left, I was sitting on my couch with a book I'd been meaning to read for months. My phone was face down on the coffee table, silent, and I realized something that made me smile. I wasn't waiting for it to buzz anymore. I wasn't bracing for the next demand disguised as a crisis. I wasn't playing a role in someone else's story. For the first time in my entire life, I was just living mine. My apartment felt different, lighter. The air was easier to breathe. I started sleeping better. I stopped checking my phone every 20 minutes. I stopped running through hypothetical emergencies in my head. I stopped keeping a mental budget of how much I could afford to send if they asked, because they weren't going to ask anymore. And even if they did, the answer was already decided. I didn't win anything tangible. There was no apology, no acknowledgement, no moment where my parents sat me down and said, "You were right. We're sorry. We used you." That didn't happen. That was never going to happen. But I gained something far more valuable than an apology. I gained my life back. I gained the ability to make plans without wondering if I'd have to cancel them. I gained mornings where I woke up without dread. I gained evenings that belonged to me. But my family still wasn't finished. What they did next tried to drag me back into the chaos one last time. And how I responded set the tone for the rest of my life. Stay with me. This is where the real boundaries get set. 3 weeks after I walked out of that house, my phone rang at 2 in the morning. I'd been asleep, deep asleep. The kind of sleep you only get when you're finally not stressed about something lurking in the back of your mind. The ringtone jolted me awake. I grabbed my phone off the nightstand, squinting at the screen. My mother. My first instinct was panic. The old training. 2 a.m. calls mean emergencies. Real ones. But then I remembered. I remembered the last emergency. I stared at the screen for 3 more rings. Then I declined the call and set my phone back down. It rang again immediately. I declined it again. A text came through. Answer the phone. This is serious. I turned my phone off completely, put it in a drawer, and went back to sleep. When I woke up the next morning, I had 14 missed calls and 23 text messages. I made coffee first, sat down, took a breath. Then I turned my phone back on and started reading. My mother's messages were frantic. Your sister is having a breakdown. She needs you. Call me back now. My father's were accusatory. You've done enough damage. The least you can do is answer the phone when your family needs you. My sisters were unhinged. I can't believe you. I can't believe you're doing this to me. Everything is falling apart, and it's your fault. You OWE me. You owe this family. Call me back, or I swear to God, I will make sure everyone knows what kind of person you really are. I read through all of them with my coffee getting cold in my hand. And then I did something I'd never done before. I typed out a single message and sent it to all 3 of them in a group text. I'm not responsible for managing your emotions or fixing your problems. I asked you to be honest with me. You chose to lie. That was your choice. What happens next is your consequence, not my obligation. Do not contact me unless it's a genuine emergency. And no, Wedding stress does not qualify. I hit send. Then I muted the group chat. My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. I just drank my coffee and got ready for work. That boundary felt like a wall I just built between me and chaos, and it felt solid. But they weren't done testing it. A few days later, my aunt called again. The same one who'd been kind before. But this time, her tone was different. Careful. "Samantha, honey, I need to ask you something," she said. "Your mom is saying you've been really cruel to your sister, that you're holding the money hostage to punish her. Is that true?" I took a slow breath. "Did she tell you what happened before that?" My aunt hesitated. She said there was a misunderstanding. "A misunderstanding," I repeated. "Is that what we're calling it?" I walked her through it again. The fake emergency, the lies, the money I'd already sent, the expectations they'd built without ever asking me. When I finished, my aunt was quiet for a long moment. "Why didn't you just say no from the beginning?" she asked. It wasn't cruel. It was genuine. She really wanted to know. "Because I've never been allowed to," I said simply. "Every time I've tried, I was told I was being selfish, difficult, ungrateful. So I stopped trying. I just said yes and paid the price later." My aunt sighed. "That's not fair to you." "No," I said. "It's not." She didn't push after that. She just said she understood and that she hoped things would get better. I appreciated that, but I knew better. Things weren't going to get better. They were going to get louder before they got quieter. The next attack came from an unexpected direction. My sister's fiancé reached out. I didn't even know he had my number. "Hey Samantha, it's Jake. Can we talk?" I didn't respond immediately. I thought about it. He sent another message. "I'm not trying to gang up on you. I just want to understand what's going on. Your sister is really upset, and I feel like I'm only getting one side of the story." That, at least, seemed fair. So I called him. He answered on the first ring. "Hey," he said. He sounded tired. "Thanks for calling back. What do you want to know?" I asked. He didn't waste time. "Did you really refuse to help with the wedding because you're mad at your sister?" "No," I said. "I refused because they lied to me to get the money. There's a difference." I told him everything. The same story. The same facts. I didn't embellish. I didn't make my sister sound worse than she was. I just told him what happened. When I finished, he was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "She told me you were just jealous." I laughed. I couldn't help it. Jealous of what? Of her getting married. Of her being happy. I shook my head, even though he couldn't see me. "Jake, I'm happy for anyone who finds love. But I'm not going to fund a wedding for someone who used my fear against me. That's not jealousy. That's self-respect." He sighed. "Yeah," he said quietly. "That makes sense." We talked for a few more minutes. He asked how much money I'd already sent. I told him. He went quiet again. "I didn't know about any of that," he said. "Finally, she told me you were well off and that helping family was just something you did." "I am well off," I said, "because I worked for it, and I did help, for years. But there's a difference between helping and being used." He thanked me for talking to him. I could hear something shift in his voice, like he was seeing something clearly for the first time. After we hung up, I wondered if that conversation would make things better or worse. 2 days later, I got my answer. My sister sent me a message that was pure venom. You talked to Jake. You tried to turn him against me. You're trying to ruin my life because you can't stand to see me happy. I will never forgive you for this." I didn't respond. What was there to say? I told the truth. If the truth made me look bad in her eyes, that said more about her than it did about me. But the family pressure kept building. My mother called again, left a voicemail this time. Her voice was thick with tears. "Samantha, please, I'm begging you, just help us this one time. Your sister's wedding is in 3 months. We've already told people. We've already made commitments. If you don't help, we're going to look like fools. Is that what you want? To humiliate your own family?" I saved the voicemail, not to listen to again, but as evidence, as a reminder of what manipulation sounds like when you finally learn to recognize it. My father tried a different approach. He sent an email, professional, cold. "Samantha, I've given this situation considerable thought. It's clear you've decided to prioritize your own comfort over your family's needs. While I'm disappointed, I respect your choice. However, I think it's best if we establish some distance going forward. We won't be reaching out anymore. I trust you'll do the same." I read that email 3 times. It was meant to hurt, meant to feel like a punishment, like he was taking something away from me. But all I felt was relief. "Sounds good," I typed back. "I wish you all the best." I hit send, and that was it. The constant messages slowed down, then stopped. The calls became rare, then non-existent. My sister blocked me on social media. My mother stopped sending her passive-aggressive, "just thinking of you" texts. My father's email was the last direct communication I received from any of them. And my life got quieter, calmer. I started saying yes to things I'd always put off because I was saving money or emotional energy for the next family crisis. I went on a vacation I'd been planning for 2 years but kept delaying. I took a weekend pottery class just because it sounded fun. I went to dinner with friends without checking my phone every 10 minutes. I started sleeping through the night without nightmares about missed calls and emergencies I hadn't been there for. The wedding happened. I didn't go. I wasn't invited. I heard about it later through my aunt. Smaller venue, fewer guests. They made it work somehow. My sister posted a few pictures. She looked happy. I didn't feel anything looking at them. Not satisfaction, not regret, just distance. The kind of distance that comes when you finally stop carrying someone else's weight. People asked me sometimes if I regretted it, if I wished I'd handled it differently. And my answer was always the same. No, because for the first time in my life, I chose honesty over obligation. I chose my own peace over someone else's convenience. But here's the thing nobody tells you about setting boundaries with family. The hardest part isn't the explosion. It's the aftermath, the quiet rebuilding, the moment you realize you're not broken for walking away. Stick with me, because what I learned after the dust settled changed everything about how I see family, loyalty, and love. The months after I walked away were strange in a way I didn't expect. I thought I'd feel lighter immediately, free, like a weight had been lifted. And I did feel those things. But I also felt something else. Grief. Not for the family I'd lost. For the family I'd never actually had. I grieved the version of them I'd built in my head. The one where they loved me the way I loved them. the one where my effort mattered, the one where showing up meant something other than being useful. That version never existed, and accepting that hurt more than the confrontation ever did. I started therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to understand why it had taken me so long to see what was right in front of me. My therapist asked me a question in our third session that stopped me cold. When you think about your family, do you feel loved or needed? I opened my mouth to say loved, but the word wouldn't come out because the honest answer was needed. I'd always been needed, but loved conditionally. Only when I played the role they'd assigned me. Only when I was useful. That realization sat with me for weeks. I turned it over in my mind like a stone, smooth on one side, sharp on the other. And slowly, I started to notice patterns I'd been too close to see before. Every birthday card from my mother had come with a request. Every thinking of you text from my father had been followed by something he needed me to do. Every conversation with my sister had been about her, her problems, her achievements, her needs. I couldn't remember the last time one of them had asked me how I was doing and actually waited for a real answer. I wasn't a daughter to them. I was a function. And when I stopped performing that function, I stopped matching. That clarity didn't make me angry anymore. It made me sad, but it also made me sure. I'd made the right choice. Around the 6-month mark, something unexpected happened. My cousin, the one who'd reached out earlier, invited me to his birthday party. I almost said no. Family events felt dangerous now, like walking into a room rigged with tripwires. But he promised my parents and sister wouldn't be there. It's just my friends and a few cousins. He said, "You're safe. I promise." So I went, and it was strange. Good strange. I laughed. I told stories. I didn't check my phone. I didn't feel like I needed to perform or manage or fix anything. At one point, my cousin pulled me aside. "You seem different," he said. Not in a bad way, just observing. "I am different," I said. He nodded. "Good different." That comment stayed with me, because he was right. I was different. I smiled more easily. I spoke more honestly. I took up space without apologizing for it. I'd spent so many years trying to be small and useful and unobtrusive that I'd forgotten what it felt like to just exist. But not everyone saw it as good. My aunt, the one who'd been kind at first, called me a few weeks later. Her tone was different this time. Careful, almost rehearsed. "Samantha, I need to talk to you about something," she said. "Your mother reached out to me. She's really struggling. She misses you. She wants to fix things." I waited. I didn't fill the silence. That was new too, letting other people sit in their own discomfort instead of rushing to make them feel better. "She asked if I'd talk to you," my aunt continued. "See if you'd be willing to meet for coffee. Just the two of you, to talk things through." "What does she want to talk about?" I asked. My aunt hesitated. "She wants to apologize." I laughed. Couldn't help it. She had 6 months to apologize. She chose to send my father's cold email instead. "People need time," my aunt said gently. "She's proud. You know how she is." "I do know how she is," I said. "That's exactly why I'm not meeting her." My aunt sighed. What if she really means it this time? What if she's ready to change? I sat with that question for a moment. Then I said something I'd been thinking about for weeks. "I don't think she wants to change. I think she wants me to come back so things can go back to normal. And I'm not interested in normal anymore. That's very black and white. My aunt said. Maybe. I agreed. But I've spent my whole life in the gray area, trying to be understanding, trying to see their side, trying to make it work. I'm tired, and I don't owe them any more of my energy. My aunt didn't call back after that. I felt a little bad about it, but not bad enough to change my mind. Because here's what I'd learned. Forgiveness isn't the same as reconciliation. I could forgive them for being flawed people who did the best they could with the tools they had. But that didn't mean I had to let them back into my life. Forgiveness was, for me, it was about releasing the anger, so it didn't poison my own happiness. Reconciliation would have been for them, and they hadn't earned it. A year after I walked out, my life looked completely different. I'd been promoted at work. I'd started dating someone who actually listened when I talked. I'd taken up running and surprised myself by actually liking it. I had friends who knew the whole story and didn't tell me I was overreacting. I had a life that was mine, not borrowed, not conditional, just mine. And I wasn't haunted by what I'd lost. I was grateful for what I'd gained. But then something happened that tested everything I'd built. My father had a heart attack. Not a fatal one, but serious enough that he was in the hospital for a week. My aunt called to tell me. Her voice was gentle. I thought you should know, she said. You don't have to do anything, but you deserve to know. I thanked her and hung up. And then I sat with that information for 3 days. The old me would have booked a flight immediately, would have dropped everything, would have shown up at that hospital room with flowers and apologies and willingness to pretend the last year hadn't happened. But the new me thought about it carefully. I thought about what I owed him, and the answer was nothing. I thought about what I wanted to do, and the answer was complicated. I didn't want him to die. I didn't want him to suffer. But I also didn't want to walk back into that hospital room and pretend everything was fine. So I sent flowers through a delivery service with a card that said, "Wishing you a full recovery." No name, just the message. My mother called me after the flowers arrived. I let it go to voicemail. "Samantha," she said, and her voice was softer than I'd heard it in years. "Thank you for the flowers. Your father was touched. We'd really like to see you, to talk. I know we made mistakes. Can we please try to fix this?" I listened to the voicemail twice, and then I saved it and didn't respond, because I realized something important. I didn't owe them a second chance just because one of them almost died. That sounds harsh. I know it does. But trauma and urgency and fear are not the same as real change. And I'd learned that lesson the hard way. A few weeks later, my father was released from the hospital. He made a full recovery. My aunt told me he'd asked about me, wanted to know if I was doing okay, wondered if I'd consider visiting now that things had calmed down. "What did you tell him?" I asked. "I told him you were doing really well," she said, "and that if he wanted to reach out, he had your number. And he said he was thinking about it." I nodded. Okay, my aunt said. That's it, I said. "If he reaches out, I'll decide then what I want to do. But I'm not chasing them anymore. I'm not fixing this on my own. That's not my job." And it wasn't. For the first time in my life, I understood that. I didn't hate my family. I didn't wish them harm. I just didn't let them define me anymore. I used to believe that family meant endurance, that love meant staying quiet and swallowing pain and paying whatever price was asked. I know better now. Real love doesn't drain you. It doesn't weaponize your fear. It doesn't punish you for having boundaries. Real love asks you how you're doing and actually listens to the answer. It celebrates your wins without making them about someone else. It respects your no as much as your yes. Walking away from my family wasn't cruel. It was honest. And honesty gave me my life back. So if this story hit close to home, if you've been the one always bending so everyone else can stay comfortable, if you've been the solution everyone reaches for but no one appreciates, I want you to know something. You're not selfish for wanting peace. You're not heartless for setting boundaries. You're not a bad person for choosing yourself. You're just finally being honest. And that honesty might cost you relationships. It might cost you the version of family you always hoped you'd have. But what you gain is something no one can take from you. Your integrity, your peace, your life. Tell me in the comments where you're listening from. Tell me if you've ever been in a situation like this. Tell me what you would have done differently or the same. And if you stayed this long, if this story meant something to you, hit that subscribe button. Because there are more stories like this one. Stories about people who chose themselves when everyone else expected them to disappear. Stories about boundaries and honesty and what it really means to love yourself enough to walk away. Thanks for watching. And remember, you don't owe anyone access to your peace. Not even family. Especially not family. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.